advocate I don't like violence, never have, but I'm not beyond pulling the trigger on somebody if I need to protect me or my wife. I don't necessarily feel that it's a good idea to go into, say, J.P. Morgan Chase and go after them with loaded guns, because some idiot is liable to pull the trigger even by accident and do something and cause something they don't want to happen. And you have to take the responsibility in the position that, well, we already got them. We can decide later if they need to be shot or hung or whatever happens to them. Some of them, I'm gonna say right now, even though I don't advocate violence, there's some of them need to be chopped up in little pieces before they're executed. Well, I'm serious. I know that you have the capability of looking in somebody's eyes and getting a reasonable feel for the condition of that person's soul or spirit. And I have looked into some of the eyes of some people, and it's blank, and it's dark, and they look at you, or look back at you, like you're on the menu.
Right.
And I personally am not going to put up with that, period. That person is either going to be executed or put away permanently by itself, whether it's male or female, doesn't make me any difference, and kept that way until they pass away or are executed for crimes or whatever.
Well, I think that if you go back to that Sumerian common law you were referring to earlier, it's essentially something that I would argue is actually a universal principle, and that is that we don't harm other people. And if someone has done massive, massive harm to others, and that includes torturing people, killing people in large numbers, and doing it with a sadistic glee and people who are innocent, that we as a society do have the right to issue a death penalty. Now, some people are going to disagree with me on that and say the death penalty should never, ever, ever be done. But it's going to be difficult to argue otherwise with the number of people who are going to be upset and who are going to want to see some degree of justice occur. But all that being said, I think it's really important that we not be quick to do this and that we don't start making assumptions. I think that people have a right to a trial by jury, and I think that doing a bunch shooting at the beginning is a terrible mistake, and it makes us no better than the people that we're attempting to supersede. And I think that these people do have a right to defend themselves, just as our law stipulates.
I'm inclined to agree with that, but like I said, I don't advocate torture, and I don't like violence, but some people do need to be executed, and
right.
That's just how it is.
But if you look at, for example, the South African Truth and Reconciliation Committee, some of that did happen.
Yeah.
But it happened in context of public hearings.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think we pretty much covered it. I don't know of anything to add to this.
I feel we've done a terrific job. About the only other thing I would add is just to second what you said about this bizarre situation that's happening with guns jamming on the battlefield. It's a pretty big issue. It's the main subject of the article I'm writing right now. There's been over 40 of these types of events that I'm aware of. I'm going to be detailing all of them in my article called Divine Intervention, which is on divinecosmos.com. These are crazy events, and from what I've heard, and apparently now you're hearing the same thing, everybody in the Pentagon, good guys and bad guys, is aware that this is being done and that these actions are not singling out any one nation. They're actually going against anybody committing an act of aggression. You're absolutely right about the day the Earth stood still is an excellent point of comparison for that. And a teaching that seems to have been sort of like a time capsule of truth that we wouldn't realize exactly how prophetic it was until these moments actually started to happen for real. That movie was a documentary. It was not fiction. And, there's a series of very compelling pieces of evidence that are coming out, one of which is the Iran drone scandal, in which our best RQ-170 Sentinel drone is flying over Iran, and somehow they gained control of it and landed it intact, and they published the pictures of it on the internet, and everybody can see that. Now the thing is, what people may not realize is that the RQ-170 Sentinel drone uses a communication system that is quintuple encrypted and was believed completely impossible to be hacked. It is the most advanced communication system that any of the classified assets that we have, including all the stuff come out of Area 51, Lockheed Skunk Works. Nothing that we have in the Black Ops community has a communication system and a guidance system more advanced than what was on the RQ-170. Therefore, the fact that that could be overtaken and grounded means that nothing in our possession, nothing in our arsenal, is free from potentially being overridden. And this is one of a variety of things you can look at in the mainstream media right now. You can see when this came out. And in fact, the U.S. government, in an astonishing act of humility, pretty much begged Iran to give it back.
I can't blame them.
It's unbelievable that they actually acknowledged that it was real, acknowledged that it was taken, and said, would you please give it back?
They're expensive.
So I want people to stop and think about that and realize that's probably the most traceable of these events so far, where you can read all about it on the internet and see something that actually happened in which a very classified piece of technology was downed for reasons that shouldn't ever have been able to happen. And what I'm hearing is from the insiders that there are cruise missiles that won't fire. There are bunker buster bombs that won't go off. There are tanks that won't start. And it goes on and on and on. It's unbelievable, the scope of what's happening. And that leads me to believe that we are actually dealing with a joint operation in which the boys from Topside, as some like to call them, are making darn sure that this plan that you're talking about right now will succeed. Because
I heard a description that sort of I thought was pretty funny, but does fit. As I understand it, these guys were described as tree-hugging hippies from space that had a primary directive of non-interference. And what are you doing zapping me into Gaga land? That's a quote from somebody on a security thing. If somebody wants to know about us and as much as can be and wants to hear recordings, freedomreigns.us. That's all I got to say.
Terrific. Drake, I thank you, and I encourage everyone, in this case, let's not worry about copyright. Let's distribute this. You can repost it. You can put it on the internet and put it under your own name, break it up into 1,000 different 10-minute sections, whatever you want to do. We need to get the word out. This is not, nobody's trying to profit off of this. So just spread the word. We're going to get the transcript done as soon as we can and let people know, because this is going to be the most significant event in history when it happens. And your role, you listening to this, is going to be to help calm people down, get them educated so that they're not going to freak out, and that this can happen in as orderly a fashion as possible.
Well, David, I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
Thank you, Drake. It's been my pleasure. And to everyone out there, God bless you, and keep up the good work. Thanks so much.